official opposition in the city of Cape Town. Cameron Dugmore is, of course, the election head for the Western Cape for the ANC. And thank you very much for joining us. And then the ACDP, Furlan Christian, thank you so much. You are the mayoral candidate for the African Christian Democratic Party. Leonard Max, it's very interesting to see you here. I know you as a former Western Cape Commissioner. Freedom Front, which I'm absolutely fascinated to probe. We'll get to that in just a minute. And a new kid on the block from the Good Party, Patricia de Lille's party, formerly from the DA, of course. Brett Heron, you are the mayoral candidate. I'm going to give each of you about 90 seconds to sort of give me your elevator pitch. I'm going to start with you, Brett. You've got 90 seconds to tell me why the Good Party is going to be really good for Cape Town. Off you go.
Well, Sally, as you said, we are the new kid on the block, but we are a party that is presenting to Cape Town a team of candidates that have a depth of experience, including in local government, that can really govern our city in a way that we would like to see in a fairer, kinder, more justice-orientated city. As you correctly pointed out, we have some of the most beautiful neighborhoods in the world, but we also have some of the most appalling neighborhoods in the world. And what we've achieved for those well-developed neighborhoods in terms of maintenance and development, we can achieve for those neighborhoods that are left behind. And it's time that we started investing in maintaining the neighborhoods that are well-developed, but building and restoring and repairing those neighborhoods that are left behind so that they're not left behind. When you're left behind spatially, you're also left behind economically and socially. And so we need to invest in those neighborhoods that are underdeveloped and maintain those neighborhoods that are well developed, and make sure there's an equality of service and that service is affordable for everybody. We're experiencing very, very high tariffs in our city, and poor people are having to choose between food and electricity and paying water bills. So we need a fairer city where there's an equality of service and an equality of infrastructure.
Wonderful, and you came in under 90 seconds. That's pretty efficient. I'm super impressed. African Christian Democratic Party, Furlan Christians, talk to me about your vision for the city, and is it broader than just for the Christians? I presume it is.
Thank you very much, Sally. I think you're correct. It's just broader than just Christians. But the important fact is that people has lost hope in politicians. And the city at the moment is run under bad leadership. Reports as they're out there, and we read them all the time. So what does the ACDP say? One, we need God-fearing, caring, capable leaders to serve our people. We also believe in servant leadership. So we're not bosses, we're there to serve the people. And all our policies that we have is at the center of those needs of our people. So we know that Cape Town is unequal, and we need to do a lot. Walking in the communities, hearing the people's cries. After almost 20 years of the DEA running the city, there's still big gaps of improvement, and we believe we have capable men and women, all 116 wards, to represent our people. So we are exciting. We have the alternative to the DA, and we believe we can do it. So lastly, I want to say that we want to bring hope back to the people. People that do not want to vote, we want them to come out and vote, because this time around the ACDP is fielding a good team to assist the people at their dire needs.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Furlan. And Cameron Dugmore, of course, we know that the ANC has not got a mayoral candidate, but you are second in charge, second most powerful political party in the city of Cape Town. Tell us what the party's vision is for the city.
Thank you. Well, Sally, arising from our national manifesto, which really focuses on how we can build better communities together, and also driven by the Renewal and Unity program led by our President, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the National Executive Committee, we are very serious about developing a better Cape Town together, and it's got to be based on certain principles: a united city, a diverse city, a tolerant city, a peaceful city, an equal city, and a city committed to redress as well as transformation. So our candidates have emerged from a truly democratic process, and with them we commit to fulfill the following 10 priorities. Firstly, to deliver services to the neglected and marginalized communities and to all our communities. to clean our communities using expanded public works, community works programs, working with the private sector, but also protecting the rights of workers in the city. We will spend infrastructure budgets on upgrading informal settlements, not return 1.8 billion rand to the national fiscus. We will identify and release well-located land belonging to national, to the city, to parastatals, and also look at well-located land. This is for human settlements, for infrastructure, for economic development, industry. Number 5, we are going to reverse apartheid spatial planning. Use the Sea Point SABC building. Use the Tafelberg property. That's number 5.
And you're 1.5 minutes in. I'm sure
All
we'll
right,
get to
I'm
the
going to
others.
get to, I think everyone's excited about number 6, number 7, number 8,
Are you
number
pushing
9,
the boundaries?
and number
All right.
10. You're going to hear what
We'll
we
get
are.
there. We'll get
but
there.
those 5 for now.
Okay, we
Right.
got you. Thank you. All right. Freedom Front Plus. This is so interesting. Leonard Max from the Freedom Front Plus.
That's right.
Talk to me about why this is your new home, why you think it's got the right vision for the city of Cape Town, and what you're going to do as mayor.
You look so surprised.
I am.
As you correctly stated, city of Cape Town is the mother of all cities. And as you indicated earlier on that I was the Provincial Commissioner of Police, so the citizens of Cape Town will know for a fact that their safety will be in good hands. And the Freedom Front offer is very simple. It offers the citizens of Cape Town a competent leader, a competent manager, who actually contributed on the national level of South Africa. We want a participative government. We participate with our communities. We are for equal opportunities. We say no to BEE. We say merit should be the level of appointment, the requirement, and merit doesn't have race. Merit is about competency, qualifications, and the necessary skills. We say zero tolerance to corruption. We are not going to tolerate it. We say accessibility and transparency into the government system. It means that any contact which we actually engage with service providers, the public will have access and see what we are paying for that particular services. And we are saying that our consumers or our people, our voters, not only consumers of public service, but also consumers of spiritual service. They need spiritual service, and therefore we will involve the clergy, we will involve the business,
Right.
and they will advise the city.
Spiritual service, that sounds like an interesting one. Thank you very much, Leonard Max. And finally, Jordan Hill-Lewis of the DA as the incumbent party running the city. What is your offer?
Good evening, Sally, and good evening, residents watching at home. Sally, there are only 2 parties on this stage that actually have a track record in government. One of those parties has a track record of decline and collapse wherever it governs, in every town and city it governs across South Africa. The other party, the party I'm proud to represent, the Democratic Alliance, has a track record of progress in the right direction wherever it governs. We have established ourselves over time as the party of clean government, of clean audits, of no corruption, and of getting the basics right. But we now have an opportunity in Cape Town to go further and higher by protecting our residents and securing Cape Town's future against the consequences of failing national services at a national level. That is why we have a plan to end load shedding in Cape Town, to make every community safer in Cape Town, and to kickstart a functioning public transport system in Cape Town. So we have an opportunity now to go beyond just clean government and getting the basics right, and do more to protect Cape Town's residents from the failing state. And our track record speaks for itself. That's why we say Cape Town works. Now let's do more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, as you can see, there's quite a lot of agreement about what needs to be done, but I guess it's how we get there and how we prioritize the many things that are needed to move Cape Town to the next level, to look after the people that have not been properly looked after up until now. And coming up in just a few moments, we're going to get to one of the biggest issues that is raised every time I ask people, what are the issues? Cape Town and housing. And that seems to be an example of how the city is battling to bring together these 2 worlds. So we're going to get up into that issue in just a few moments. So stay with us here on ENCA. To live from Cape Town this evening, and we're chatting to the mayoral candidates from the city of Cape Town. Let's jump into some of the hot button issues for the city, because really local government has to start addressing them and getting them right. And the reality is, for Cape Town, it's a beautiful city. It's an absolute tourism destination of note. People who are very rich come here to have their holidays. People who are very rich come here to buy homes, and they pay their taxes, and we cannot lose that. But at the same time, if that money is not spent properly on looking after the poor and the homeless and those who just don't have many prospects at the moment, it's an untenable dichotomy. It's a tension that cannot remain. It has to be fixed. We saw what happened in July in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. The question has to be asked, why were so many people happy to get pulled in to the unrest? A lot of people are very angry. They don't feel that they're being listened to by government. And that, I think, affects how people respond to politicians. But let's dive right into the housing issue, which I know is a hot button one. And the DA's Jordan Hill-Lewis, I want to ask you a question. Is the DA captured by its elite funders who say, hang on a minute, you're not going to take that parcel of inner city land and put low-cost housing on it, or maybe, heaven forbid, tents, because I've got my nice high-rise next to it. Are you captured by elite funders?
Of course not. We've led the way in this campaign by saying we make a firm commitment right up front that if I'm successful in this campaign, we will lead the way in speeding up the release of well-located city-owned land for the development of much more affordable housing for Cape Townians. Any party who is serious about governing the city must have a plan for more affordable housing. If you don't, you simply aren't a serious player. And I've presented that plan right up front, and I'm pleased that we've led that debate in this campaign. And we absolutely will. The countervailing point that we've made, we've always coupled our commitment in saying, what is the national government going to do to meet that commitment, to meet our commitment halfway? We had a mayor who made these commitments over many years when she ran the city to release this land, did not, then went to national government under the ANC, and now sits in national cabinet of Minister de Lille, and has not done anything there as well. So I've made my commitment. I've said we will lead the way with the release of well-located land. But we cannot make a major dent on affordable housing in Cape Town unless there is also a commitment from national government to release the enormous parcels of land under their direct control.
All right, so I want to bring in Brett here, and it's quite obvious why I want to bring you in. Your leader, Patricia de Lille, who is known, very well known, very loved in the city of Cape Town, is now sitting in the ANC's cabinet, essentially. She's the leader of the Good Party, but it's a difficult one, really, because she controls public land. So talk to me about what you've heard from Jordan Hill-Lewis. He's absolutely emphatic that they're not in the pockets of their funders who are saying, no, you don't sell off that local land for local housing. What's your response?
Well, Sally, I think the starting point is that Good was really formed out of a fallout between Patricia de Lille, myself and others, and the DA leadership around the delivery of affordable housing in the inner city. That's why Good exists, really, because there was a different vision for how affordable housing should be delivered. And our vision was to use public land that was in the city's custody, public land owned by the people of Cape Town, but in the custody of the city.
Why didn't she do it, though? Because Jordan Hill-Lewis is saying that Patricia de Lille had plenty of opportunities to get that right.
No, but the point is she did do it. We released the land in September 2017. We released our first 5 parcels of land in the inner city through a call for proposals. The call for proposals closed in February 2018, and it was then that the fight started to prevent us from opening those calls.
Why do you think?
I know very well why, and I really want to look forward, but I think Jordan was not honest when he said the reason why that land was not, we were not able to release the land was because of party funders who were not happy with the release of that land.
You just said that's not true. So respond.
Patricia de Lille became the mayor of Cape Town in 2011. Brett says he released their 5 pieces of land in 2017, at the end of 2017. So for 6.5 years, by his own admission, they did absolutely nothing to further this issue. He's been out of the party for 2.5 years, and now he wants to claim everything that happened good in Cape Town was his doing and everything that happened bad was our doing. He cannot have his cake and eat it. What did he do when he ran the city of Cape Town for nearly 8 years? He did nothing.
Quick response?
Well, I didn't really run the city of Cape Town for 8 years. I was responsible for housing for 18 months. In those 18 months, working within the National Housing Programme, I doubled housing delivery in the city of Cape Town. The first time Cape Town ever achieved its housing target was when I was responsible for housing. We not only achieved the housing target, we exceeded it. Within 6 months of being appointed responsible for housing, I identified 11 parcels of land in the inner city to address the fact that for 30 years since the Group Areas Act was abolished, not a single housing unit, affordable housing unit, has been built in the inner city. We've been under ANC and DA government since 1994, and not a single unit of affordable housing has been built in the inner city in 30 years. And right now, there are 5 sites that are standing derelict, where there should be bustling construction, building tens of thousands of affordable housing units in the inner city, and not one of them has got a construction project going on them because the DA cancelled the projects 2 months after I resigned from the party and from council.
Why did you do that?
The bottom line is, Brett had an opportunity to get those projects on the go
but
for 7 years.
why were they cancelled?
Well,
Why are they empty right now?
the commitment I have made.
No, but
is
are
that
just because I don't know Cape Town, are those 5 sites?
two of them have actually been invaded. The rest projects are slowly moving through the process.
So it's going to happen. When's it going to happen?
They are going to happen, but the commitment.
But when? Do you have a date?
Shortly after
Just
the 2nd
curious.
of November.
Okay.
The commitment that I have made is that I will speed that process up. I will. I'm absolutely committed to using well-located city land for affordable housing. But here's the point. The yield of those 5 parcels of land is tiny, minuscule in comparison to the enormous pieces
you've made
of
that
land.
point. The national
but I
government.
think it's important to just re-emphasize.
All right.
720 hectares, 250,000 units, all well located in the city, are directly under Brett and Patricia's control and the ANC government's control. I've made my commitment. Will he make his? When will they be released?
Look, can I?
Very quick response, because I want to bring in the others.
I think the point is that when you're in government in the city of Cape Town, you should start with the land that you have discretion over. The land that Jordan is talking about, Wingfield, the military bases, Acacia Park, that land has to follow a long process in terms of GIAMA, the act that I would hope that Jordan would be familiar with, which governs the release of public land.
So in other words, it's easier to use local land.
Let's use the land we have
that's under your
discretion
control
over.
rather than going national.
And
I
we
hear
can
you. I want to bring in Cameron Dugmore from the ANC. I mean, this must be quite fun for you because you're seeing the DA arguing with former members.
It's not actually fun.
Tell me why not.
Because the reality is that we've got to realize in Cape Town that if national and provincial and local government don't work together, the people suffer. And I think what we've had is 15 years of a DA, starting with Helen Zille, a blame and complain politics. The Premier now rejecting the district model, which is supposed to involve all 3. Because when it comes to land, there is national land, there is provincial land, there is city land. And Brett is right. The city has had no reason not to use that land. They have, you know what they're doing, Sally? They are actually selling land that could be used for affordable housing to the highest bidder, and their developer friends are blocking them from using well-located land. That's what the DA is all about. They are captured by developers. We are saying in our priority number 4 and priority number 5, first identify and release land. Part of that is to tell the DA, will he tell us now that they will stop selling city land which could be used for affordable housing, and then secondly, reverse apartheid spatial planning, not only in the city.
Let's deal with that first question.
Belleville? What about Parow? They are well-located piece of land that also need to be integrated. They've done nothing. And they must admit that it's their time to go.
All right.
People have had enough of them.
I'm going to give you a chance to think about that because I want to bring in our 2 other guests. And the Freedom Front Plus and Leonard Max, what do you make of this? There's clearly dispute, there's clearly problems, and there has been, it seems, a logjam. Not enough has been done. What would the Freedom Front Plus do? How would you move this one forward?
No, the Freedom Front is very clear about affordable housing and affordable places. So, in other words, there's already evidence now. They confirm that land is available, government land is available, state land is available. It's not necessary now to use golf courses like the DA. The DA on the 5th of October said they're going to use golf courses. And then all of a sudden, when I actually questioned it in the media, they turned around and said, no, I'm talking nonsense. And today, there's another report to say that Salhier Brink said no. They distance themselves from the leader. So I don't know whether who's in charge of the DA. You know, the one day they say that, the other day they create expectations which they cannot fulfill, and the people are already with placards and posters on the golf courses as a result of the DA's false promises which they cannot fulfill, and that creates a security risk and endanger people who are staying around these golf courses. So they must be more responsible, and it's clear you can't trust the DA as far as this is concerned.
Ferland Christians, what's your party's take on how to fix the housing problem?
Thank you, Sally. I think the first thing that I just want to respond is that, you know, we have a track record of governing in the city of Cape Town. Grant Haskin was the deputy mayor. He started the two drug rehab centers in Tafelsig and Tableview, in Nelson Mandela Bay, in Knysna, all over. So we have a track record. I just want to make that straight. The second thing is, you know, walking in Manenberg now the other day, people still pay rent for their houses. So the first thing that we want to do, and that is in the power of the city, to give people title deeds. Now, you know what is the big problem? They pay 500 Rand a month from their pension. And if you look at the Rondebosch golf course, they pay 1,000 Rand for the year for rent. Now that poor lady, 500 Rand, she's got nothing left. She must still pay electricity. She must still pay water. And if you inspect those houses, it's bad.
So am I right? You would use the golf courses. You think that's a good idea?
The comparison I'm making, you've got an enormous golf course paying 1,000 Rand. I think they upped it to 10,000. And a lady struggling, because if you add the 500s, it works out to 6,000 Rand a year she's paying for a two-bedroom house in Manenberg. So I'm also looking at, and our manifesto says, well-located state land. Start with the municipality, and then, but the important thing here, Sally, is we must learn to work together, because it's in the benefit of the people. When you have national, provincial, and local government fighting, we need to sit around the table, get private developers in, and also look at self-help houses. The houses that we have now, our people are not proud of those houses. You wait for 30 years, you wait for 25 years, you walk into the house and you see the entire house. So even the substandard housing that we're having at the moment must stop. We must bring dignity back to the people of Cape Town, because they have elected us to represent them, and I don't think they're well represented at the moment.
All right, there's so much still to talk about on this issue. We're going to take a short break. Thank you very much for your input. We're going to come back to this in just a few moments. Stay with us here on ENCA. Okay, it's All right, let's continue with our Cape Town mayoral candidate debate this evening. We've been getting into the thorny issue of housing, lots of accusations and counter-accusations, and I think I need to give you, Jordan Hill-Lewis from the DA, just a chance to respond. You are the incumbent. Got to make it happen.
Well, thank you very much. There's a great deal. You're right. There's a lot to respond to, but I just want to pick up on something in particular from what Mr. Dugmore said. He made 2 points. He said they're in control of national land and they're willing to release it. I welcome that commitment, Mr. Dugmore, and I would ask you for specific timelines on when national land will be released so that we can build hundreds of thousands of affordable homes on the 72 times larger pieces of land that you own and that you control along with good. And the second thing I'd like to respond to is Mr. Dugmore introduces the concept of the district model. I think viewers should know that the district model is an ANC plan to control local governments through the office of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and the Department of Cogta. It is a terrible plan which seeks to remove powers from local government and subsume them nationally, where every service is failing. So he asks us to work together. I tell you, sir, we reject the district model. Voters in Cape Town reject the district model. We want Cape Town run from Cape Town, not from Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma's office. Thank you.
Quick response.
You know, the DA has this, what they used to refer to as bangmak tactic. That's scare stories. The reality is the Constitution itself talks about cooperative governance. That's what the district model is. I think people in Cape Town are suffering. Naledi Pandor is the champion appointed by the President and Bheki Cele to work with the province and the city in integrating our approach to development. That is not taking over. The Constitution is clear about what the powers of local government are. So it's simply a scare tactic by the DA, which is actually spiting the people of Cape Town, because we would benefit from all spheres coordinating and working together.
Would Cape Town? And the reason I ask that is because of the 10 best performing municipalities, 5 of them are run by the DA. And I know it's not only about clean audits, there's also other stuff, but it's also a very trusted municipality. According to independent polls, 7 years in a row, trusted municipality. The people of Cape Town, by and large, seem to be saying it's on the right track. Of course, there are a lot of thorny issues, and I'm going to get to those now. I want to bring
I just need to say that, do you know, Sally, that in the last audit report, Cape Town had an amount of 847 irregular expenditure. We've laid a complaint with the SIU about incredible corruption with the housing maintenance department, where people are getting bribery. We will be releasing, as the ANC, a dossier on the DA every day until the elections. And this myth that they are clean is going to... Nora Gross was actually... She's up for charges of money laundering. They put her high up on their list. Where is the so-called anti-corruption stand for the DA? Watch for the next 30 days.
Right.
We will release serious issues of corruption by the DA. No
right,
response,
we'll look for
Jordan.
that.
You've had
We'll
your
look
chance.
for
The
that.
district development model will help
because
Cape Town.
we actually,
it will help.
You can hang on to that and come back. But Leonard Max, Freedom Front Plus, I want to speak to you because you've got a history in policing as a former provincial police commissioner. It was in September last year that Lieutenant Charles Kinnear was gunned down outside his home. Yes, there have been arrests, but the reality is, just a few weeks ago, 3 young women in Khayelitsha were murdered, shots in the head, and it's becoming so commonplace, tragically, that it becomes a bit of a blur. So we've got this amazing city on the one hand, and there's a lot that's good. What is going wrong with crime fighting? And I understand that there's a national government focus here, but is there more that local government can and should be doing to deal with crime?
Yes, Ellie, indeed. There's a fight now currently in the media between Minister Cele, who was yesterday here with Mbizo here, and the Western Cape provincial government as well, with regards to resources.
I think they weren't invited, if I'm not mistaken.
So
cooperation.
You know, the
shade. Okay, we'll get there. Carry on.
Crime should not be politicized because it's people's lives is at stake. And it is so. It's an undisputed fact that there's not enough resources in the Western Cape. And the problem is that there must be a cooperation between national, provincial and local government. The DA did some efforts actually at local level to increase the police and so forth, which is appreciated. But still there's a gap. There's a gap because if you look at this, it's not only the police which needs to be attended to, it's a whole criminal justice system. Because once the police arrest people today, tomorrow they get bail, and then they out and they recommit, and the police rearrest as well. So your whole criminal justice system and the constitution must be reviewed to see whether the constitution is really in favor of the protection and safety of our people. And if not, it needs to be reviewed.
Yeah, but that's a long, that's a long process.
But for now, it is so that we have to incorporate, as I indicated earlier on, and that is that the crime is as a result of your social decay, that moral decay. And it's for that reason that we are saying as the Freedom Front, that we will incorporate and bring the clergy together, so that the clergy is involved. The criminal and the victims of crime is the one or other way, directly or indirectly involved in a congregation. And it is there where their spiritual, their spiritual service needs to be attended to. And
I mean, you're sounding like you're from the ACDP. You're talking about the spiritual stuff. It's fantastic.
It is about our principles.
But let's give Verlin a chance.
It's our principles.
Go, Verlin.
It's surprising that Leonard was the commissioner and he doesn't know community safety. I've got a background in community safety, law enforcement officer. I sit in the province at community safety, and in the city I sat at safety and security. The problem is there must be a will. There must be a will. I don't think there's a political will on local level. And we have these fights. Let me tell you.
No one wants crime.
Let me tell you, there was 1.4 billion rand rolled out by the Western government to fight crime. So they appoint LEAP officers, law enforcement officers on the ground. And yet we do not see a difference. Now, I've said it over and over again, and I said this to Alan Windy, I said this to Albert Fritz. I said, your neighborhood watches is the solution, and your community police forums, because your neighborhood watches walk every day without compensation, take the people to the taxi rank.
So you're saying they need more money, more support?
No, a stipend, something for the efforts. At the moment, there's only a handful that get stipends.
Yeah.
But not everybody gets stipends. Out of 50, 10 get stipends. In Mitchell's Plain, I was there the other day. And they get up at 4:30 in the morning, make sure that
Where would that money come from, national or from local?
There's 1.4 billion. And I cannot see the evidence on the ground. There's no changes on the ground. So there's also ward allocations that we have. So the first thing is get the community involved. You walk in the community in Manenberg, you walk all over, they will tell you exactly what is what. But we must get the community involved. We must empower and resource our neighborhood watches and community police forums. Remember, your community police forums is there to have crime initiatives, and all of those type of things.
Do you agree? Is that a great plan that you can perhaps all agree on?
It's an old plan, not the new plan.
It seems it hasn't been implemented.
No, there's an old plan. It's an old plan.
But is it a good plan?
It's never implemented.
But let me tell you, you must understand, jail centers nowadays is no deterrent to criminals. No deterrent. Gangsterism will not end. Let me tell you that. Because the more serious the crime, the higher the ranking. It's a promotion for them. You see this drive-by shootings, the killings. It's like a national sport nowadays because there's no deterrent. Jail centers and the corruption.
But isn't that a national issue? Isn't that a national issue to be dealt with?
Yeah, but a national issue has an impact on your local communities.
Yeah, sure.
People are dying.
Sure, but we're talking about what we can do.
Yeah, we can do. That is what we do. Okay. That is all the time. There's old plans. There's old plans. So that is not new plans.
Okay,
but let me tell you, if you look at the differences here, the differences is very clear in this debate. These people are fighting each other and they don't concentrate on the people. We need a new government. And if you think that the G do something good, you ain't seen nothing when the Freedom Front is there.
I want to ask Brett and then you for a quick response. I don't think anyone is going to disagree that community policing is a great idea, but there needs to be more money. Is it the same sort of vision that you have as a party?
So, I mean, our approach is that there's an overemphasis on the policing and enforcement part, and not enough emphasis on addressing the root causes of crime, the social problems, the built environment that generates antisocial behavior and criminal behavior. And there is a role for all three spheres of government in crime prevention. Local government's role must be focused on the social interventions and the built environment interventions that will alleviate those kinds of hotbeds where crime is so easily generated.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree on that.
But I think what we must also, and Ferlin has made reference to it, we must be careful of this idea that the city of Cape Town has rolled out thousands of police officers, because that's the promise that has been made using this 1.3 billion rand allocation from the Western Cape government to the city of Cape Town. But what they've rolled out, and in the 10 crime hotspots, the 10 murder capitals of the world in Cape Town, they've rolled out learner law enforcement officers who have only had 6 weeks training. And they've told those communities, we are going to make you feel safer and you are going to be safer. But this is the greatest hoax on the people of Cape Town, that they are getting thousands of learner law enforcement officers to halve the murder rate in the most violent parts of our country. And those people that live in those communities are conned. They are told to feel safer in an environment where they are not safer. It's dangerous, it's reckless, and it's a waste of 1.4 billion rand.
All right. Very quick, because I've got to go to a break.
Just responding to this actually allows the ANC to say that our priorities 6, 7, and 8 are linked to the crime issue, because local economic development, early childhood development are actually part of our strategy. The safety issue, we are saying in the ANC constitution, we are calling for our branches to set up non-partisan street committees to keep our women safe, to keep our streets safe.
But
and what we are saying is that we cannot allow gangsters to be more powerful than the government. We cannot allow gangsters to working together. That's what we are saying. The city has suffered because of a blame and complain attitude. Whoever wins this election, and I think it's very likely that the DA is going to drop under 50%, have got to work together and make sure. And what we are saying, Sally, as a conclusion, that substance abuse strategy that is youth-led, that gives hope, linked to ECD, local economic development, the township economy, and street committees that work with the police. Yes, neighborhood watches we support community, but we need to get onto the street and show the gangs that the government is in control, not the gangs.
I want you to hold all those beautiful thoughts just for 3 minutes. We're coming back with more in a moment. It's the last segment now, guys, and I've already gone over. It's an 8-minute segment, so you need to think of your main messages. program here on ENCA as we're chatting to election and mayoral candidates for the city of Cape Town. This morning, I was wandering through Tower's Kloof with a friend, absolutely beautiful area. I had just on the way back, I met a bearded hipster, and he was handing out flyers. And on those flyers, he announced that he is an independent candidate, that he was tired of the politicians. I've spoken to a lot of people, and this is not just in Cape Town. And I'm wondering if this is perhaps a global trend, that generally people are tired of promises made by politicians, that there's a growing distrust. There's a sense that they're too busy scoring points off each other to actually work together. This election is going to have more independent candidates than we've ever had before. And this is something that could threaten the votes of all of you. That if your voters are getting tired of the arguments, of the intractable situations that we're seeing in coalition councils, you're all going to lose out. Cameron Dugmore, I'm going to start with you. How much of a concern is it that perhaps through not listening enough to the people, they're turning to independent voices and they distrust the big political parties?
I think a local government is local, and any particular person that thinks they have value to add, they should be encouraged to stand. That's a democracy. I think what's helped the ANC is that for the first time in our history, we've had an incredibly participative process. So if we were sitting in an ANC branch and I nominated you, you would first have to go to a community meeting. The community would have to say, we want Sally. So the fact that we took 3 months doing that, as for us, as our president has said, we're putting forward the best possible people that we have. We've done checks on people. So we afford candidates who listen, who are accountable. At the end of our manifesto, we have a pledge here that every single candidate needs to make.
The protest from your members who say that the right people are not on the list. Is Sally, that sorted out yet?
Your station and others have questioned us, and sometimes there are genuine issues. Other times it's simply a case, one candidate gets 499 votes, another gets 35 and still wants to be the candidate. So we have to follow our democratic processes. So we've got very few issues left. The communities are coming together basically because they feel that that community, that they were the part of electing that candidate, see that they need to unite and elect that candidate, because actually the real issue here is making sure that the DA never governs the city of Cape Town again. They've had 15 years. They don't deserve it. They've actually got a candidate, Sally, that's facing money laundering charges in Atlantis, and she's high up on their list.
Brett, you're the new party. Is this something that's top of mind?
It is top of mind, Sally. I think the cynicism and the almost apathy around participating in the elections that we're experiencing when you engage with voters and residents is legitimate. I mean, people are tired of the promises, and we, as a new party, are able to ask them, as Jordan correctly said, to look at the track record over the last 15 years and say, have you made progress in 15 years? Has your life changed? And is it better? And no number of clean audits or ratings agencies' reports are going to change the fact that people are living in poverty and jobless. And if we don't address that, we have a catastrophe on our hands. And as a city, we can address that. We can address joblessness and hopelessness and unemployment and hunger. And we must do so. But if we're going to turn politics around, we're asking people to think about a new party that is really committed to delivering on those needs.
It'll be interesting to see how the good party does. Jordan Hill-Lewis, this is an issue that I think is countrywide. It's possibly even a global issue. Everything has changed a lot since COVID. I think we've all started to question the status quo. But I'm wondering how much identity politics is a crucial issue. You're a white male, you're a young guy. There are no females here, except me. I'm female, but I'm not standing for mayor. And we have had female leaders in Cape Town. But does it matter that you're a white male? I mean, it might not matter to you, but think of the people who are going to vote for you. Would someone in Khayelitsha go, hang on, he's a white bloke, I don't want to go there again after apartheid? I mean, that it might be that clear a line.
No, I do think it's a relevant question, and thank you for asking it. It's obviously applies to several of the candidates here. And it's something that I thought about a long time before I decided to stand. And I asked literally hundreds of Cape Townians about this to get their feel. But I must tell you, I'm hugely encouraged that across Cape Town, in every community, no matter where you are, residents overwhelmingly send the message that so long as there is a party that can get the job done, that can deliver the goods and make progress in the right direction, that race does not matter.
Why then did the DA bring race into those posters in Phoenix? I mean, was this just a really stupid, bad idea?
Well, Sally, there's no doubt that it was a distraction from our Cape Town campaign. But the DA's federal executive has expressed itself on that, and I associate myself with that statement. But I would say my focus is 100% on how to protect Cape Town from the failing state.
The Joburg DA mayoral candidate, she put her hand up, black woman, and she said, this is not cool. But you didn't, did you?
Well, I don't think that that's helpful for everyone to go to the media and share your personal opinions.
Right.
The party leadership has, in the name of the FedEx, has spoken, and that's fine.
Leonard Max, a lot of people are going, Freedom Front Plus, I thought it was mostly white Afrikaners. It's not, though. It seems to be that the Freedom Front Plus is becoming a party for minorities, a party for people who feel their voice is not heard. Is that why you are happy to make this your new home? And let's be honest, you're a man who's been described as politically promiscuous, not my phrase. But I had to get that in. Tell me why the Freedom Front Plus is going to make a difference.
You see, the Freedom Front Plus, you correctly stated earlier on that there's a distrust in politics from the community. And you know why the distrust? The distrust is because there's two political parties which Jordan actually very profoundly said there's two parties governing. It's because of those two parties which is in government. That's why they didn't fulfill their promises. That's one. The other thing is the Freedom Front Plus, evolved into a party of all races, a rainbow nation. And if you were actually at yesterday our manifesto launch, all races were present there.
It's very interesting. I have got 1 minute, and I think you've made a very interesting point. You've each got one sentence. You've each got literally one sentence. I want to see if you choose to take a pot shot at each other or give me your best sentence on what you're going to do for the city of Cape Town if you become mayor or if your party leads. Let's start with you, Brett.
So I'm asking the voters of Cape Town to give a new party the opportunity to govern. We will govern with compassion, with justice, with fairness. And I'm asking voters in Cape Town to lend us their vote on the 1st of November. If we do not change Cape Town, if we do not make a change in Cape Town on the 1st of November, the next opportunity to make that change is 2026 or maybe early 2027, and that is going to be too late for long people.
That was a lot of sentences, thank you. The ACDP, give us your big sentence.
Yeah, thank you very much. We want to tell the people of Cape Town that we're putting forward God-fearing, trustworthy leaders. People are sick and tired of politicians lying. We are putting forward credible leaders and went through a screening process in order to get there. We want to bring hope into politics, and the ACDP can do that. I just want to add that he was flirting with the church. We were fighting for the church since 1993. We're fighting still for the church, and we're the only people that will fight for the church.
So a little pot shot for the Freedom Front Plus, ANC.
We will focus on ending the pipe levy, the incredibly high water tariffs which the city has imposed, electricity tariffs, and at the end of the day we say to the voters, our movement, the African National Congress, is renewing itself, putting up the best candidates. We have the ability to unite the city, and we have our challenges and we have our problems, but at the end of the day the public transport is a priority for us. Sustainable development of our natural assets. Cape Town is endowed with that, and we are serious about protecting that from the developers. The ANC is able to unite the city, and that's what we're going to do.
Final word to you, DA.
The reason that people feel hopeless and distrustful about politics is because they feel that they cannot change the direction of our country. In Cape Town, we are saying this We all know that this is the one place in South Africa that gives hopefulness, that gives a sense that we are heading in the right direction. We now have the opportunity to do much more to protect Cape Town's future and to protect your future and your family's future from the worst consequences of the failing state. We will do that by ending load shedding in Cape Town, by fighting for more policing powers to keep communities safer, not less policing powers, and we will do that by kick-starting affordable, reliable public transport. We will protect Cape Town's future, and we are the only ones with a track record of doing so.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you. Freedom Front, you haven't had your closing statement. I'm so sorry. Off you go.
No, the Freedom Front is very clear. We are a party with clear policies. We are a party who cares for our people. You can trust the Freedom Front. The Freedom Front will make sure that the government is transparent. The government is professional by employing people on the basis of merit and keep them accountable, and there will be consequence management as well. So in politicians who's actually under the umbrella of the Freedom Front will be accountable to the people and not to themselves. We are a people's party.
All right, and thank you very much to all of you. I'm so sorry, we just didn't have enough time to really get into more issues, but I think we covered a lot of ground, and I thank you all for making yourselves available, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
It was fun. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.